Step 3. We made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood Him. Words of wisdom.
Words of wisdom. Step 1, 2, and 3 are building a new identity and changing your perspective.
Right.
In step 2, we believe that there's a higher power there that can do something for us. And in step 3, we start to act as if we believe in that higher power.
Right.
And what does that mean? What does it mean to act like there's a higher power that cares about you? What does that mean practically and functionally in our lives?
Yeah, when I first kind of read the first 3, I felt like they were all kind of all the same thing.
Yeah.
I guess. And as time went by and I really looked at them, they are different. They're very different. And step 3 is, to me, is the willingness to turn that over, turn our will and our lives over. And it's almost like, to me, it's a switch has to flip in your mind that you're willing to do that. Because whether you were conscious of it or not, I had already turned my will and my power over to my drug.
Yeah.
So I had to make that switch to where I was going to turn it back over to God. And I always call it an idol. My drug was an idol that I put over my higher power, which to me is God. You know, I had put that over that, and everything was fine until something had to come in play when it had to do with my addiction. And then it took over priority over everything in my life, and I had to switch that.
One of the word that stands out to me is care. And if I'm going to let God care for my life, to me it's like I don't worry about it anymore. I think this is about letting go of expectations, letting go of worry. I think this is where that just for today mentality comes from. If someone says, I'll take care of it, if I have a job to do and someone comes to me and says, oh, I'll take care of that, then I'm not going to worry about it anymore. If I trust that person.
Right.
I'm going to trust that it gets done. Can I take my life and let God care about my life to where I believe that I'm going to be okay regardless of what the circumstance is? And if I do the right thing and practice the principles to the best of my ability, if I stay willing, like you said, if I take that willingness, if I surrender to a spiritual life, if I stay open-minded and honest, can I then live and not worry about what the future is going to hold?
Right.
And say, I'm going to be okay no matter what happens.
Yeah. But I think that willingness is that you understand that you have to do your part.
Yes.
But then you're trusting and you're turning it over that God's going to do His part then. So it's almost like you're changing it over to, I can't do it all myself. I'm going to do what I can do. But then that kind of goes into part of making different decisions based on your higher power, right? You know?
I think it
because that's where the rub is, right? Is when somebody says, "Hey, I'm turning everything over." Then what do you do? You just lay there, and have somebody think food's going to drop out of heaven. You know what I mean? You can go to extremes, right?
It is, and people kind of get into that thinking sometimes, where it's like, "Well, I've turned it over to God, so I don't have to worry about it anymore." But
I'm not paying rent.
To me, worry is. It's not inaction. To stop worrying about something is not to stop working on it. I'm going to do the next right thing. I'm going to live my life by doing the right thing. I'm going to move in a direction. I'm going to be of service. I'm going to live in community with other people. And I'm going to rest in the knowledge that my life is cared for by God.
That's it.
That there's some kind of path. And I wrote some stuff down. I should have. I
watched a Netflix Arnold Schwarzenegger documentary, and it was so good. And he was talking about his dad and how his dad treated them as children. And he said the one thing his dad said, though, that he always kept with him was his dad was like, "Arnold, be useful."
Yeah.
That's all he told him.
Yeah.
But that's so good. Be useful.
Because
there was a long time I was useless.
Well, yeah. And this is about taking instead of fighting with myself and fighting with my own will and having all these expectations that life should be a certain way, that I know the way that life should go.
Right.
And I have these expectations about how it should go, and then I end up feeling sorry for myself when it doesn't go that way. I can let go of those expectations and trust that there's a plan, trust that there's a direction that I'm moving towards, that it's kind of giving it purpose.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
And it's a hard thing to even kind of contemplate, because we're talking about faith, and that's the spiritual principle of the third step is faith. And what does faith mean? You could write books and books on what that means.
Exactly.
But I think that ultimately faith is the absence of fear. If I have faith in this chair, then I'm going to sit back in it. I'm not going to be scared that I'm going to fall.
Yeah, we have faith in things every day.
Right.
My car's going to start.
Right.
I have faith. Yeah, exactly.
Or that your car is going to stop. Like you have faith that when you push that brake, it's going to stop. And so
that's big time
faith. So then you're not scared when you're hurtling towards
That's
something.
great. That's really good.
So can we have faith in our lives as a whole that it's going to be okay?
Yeah.
That's the key to...
So then we can stop panicking and worrying and just do the next right thing.
Right, because if I'm panicking and worrying about my life, I'm going to get high.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to be miserable.
Miserable. And you want to not be miserable.
This is the really the beginning of a spiritual life. And I think what the point that you're making that's so good is a lot of people think that this is the end of the spiritual life. Oh, I've turned it over to God, so that's the end.
Right.
But it's really the beginning. It's not that now we just get to lay back and like God's going to, feed us manna from heaven.
Well, there's a Bible verse that sort of goes with this. It says, I think it's in Matthew, but he says, why are you worrying so much? Don't you see that I take care of the sparrow?
Yeah.
And I take care of the leaves in the flowers and all that. That's sort of what it is. Well, yeah, but I hear people say that. Well, what am I supposed to do? And just go lie down in the road and everything's gonna. You know what I mean? So what you're saying is so good. It is. It's turn that fear and worry over to Him and just do the next right thing and have faith that everything's gonna work itself out.
If we take the lesson like to the gospel, it's what is so much what Christ says in the New Testament. Don't fear. What do the
Be not
angels say
afraid.
to people? Be not
That's
afraid.
the number one thing in the Bible
Number
that is
thing.
written. Yep. Be not afraid.
That's right.
Awesome.
What do you guys think of step 3? How do you turn your will and your life over to the care of a higher power? What does that mean to you? Do you have more of a traditional kind of belief in that, or do you have your own belief about a higher power? Let us know in the comments.
Please. Yep.